Show the chick the water. They would take a chick, dip its beak into a bowl of warm water, sometimes adding a little honey or sweet whey. Back then, no one said the word electrolytes, but they intuitively created a solution that helps cells hold water. Today, science explains this mechanism. Glucose activates sodium transport in the gut. Sodium draws water through the membranes. This is called sodium-glucose co-transport, one of the oldest survival mechanisms of living organisms. But why do modern poultry sellers almost never talk about this? Because the industry doesn't make money on simple solutions. Glucose, a pinch of salt, and vitamin C cost pennies. They cannot be patented. They cannot be sold as a complex product with beautiful packaging. It is much more profitable to sell expensive supplements, antibiotics, and new batches of chicks to replace those that died. The industry is used to considering losses the norm. The village considered them a mistake. I once talked with an old poultryman from the Kursk region. He started back in the 1970s and said a phrase that I remembered forever. The first day of a chick's life decides everything. If you gave him water correctly, he will live on his own. And here is a practical point that everyone can apply today. Water for chicks should not be cold. Ideally, it should be between 20 and 25 degrees. To it, add glucose, about 3 to 5 grams per liter, a few electrolytes, regular table salt on the tip of a knife, and drops of vitamin C. This solution gives cells energy and restores the water-salt balance. But there is one more step, and exactly this is what 90% of beginners forget. You need to teach the chicks to drink. Yes, literally take each one, gently touch its beak to the water. One contact, and the reflex turns on. The first chick starts drinking, the rest watch and repeat. Birds have powerful behavioral learning. They copy the actions of the flock. In old villages, this was called simply watering the brood. When this was done correctly, survival rose to nearly 100%. Think about that. Sometimes the fate of 100 living beings depends on 1 hour of your time, and this is where the real talk about homesteading begins. Not about business, not about industry, but about craftsmanship. Our ancestors survived because they passed knowledge from grandfather to father, from grandmother to granddaughter, without the internet, without courses, just through words by the stove. Today, much of this knowledge is disappearing. It has been displaced by instructions from the internet and industry advice. But the truth is that nature has not changed. A chick's biology is the same as it was 100 years ago. Only one thing has changed. We stopped listening to those who worked with animals with their hands. Therefore, remember one thought. True farm autonomy starts with understanding life, with respect for its fragility, with small actions that save dozens of animals. If we don't pass this knowledge on, it will vanish. But if we do, it will survive any crises, wars, and droughts, just as the villages from Policia to the steppes of Kazakhstan survived them. There is one scene that any old poultryman will recognize without words. Morning. The coop still smells of fresh shavings and warm grain. 100 little balls of fluff are cheeping under the lamp. And suddenly one stands off to the side. Eyes half closed, head lowered. He doesn't run for feed, doesn't reach for water. Most people walk past thinking, weak. But the old owners knew. Not weakness, it's a signal. The body has already begun to lose water. In a chick's body, everything happens fast, very fast. Its heart, like a little motor, puts out up to 400 beats per minute. The body temperature is around 40 degrees. The metabolism is frantic. It's like a furnace into which fuel and water must be thrown every second. If water doesn't come in, the blood starts to thicken, osmotic pressure in the cells changes, and sodium and potassium stop moving correctly through the membranes. And it is precisely these two elements that control the electrical impulses of muscles and nerves. And here is what happens next. After 6 to 8 hours of dehydration, enzyme activity drops. After 12 hours, thermoregulation is disrupted. After a day, many organs begin working on the brink. And all this can happen to a creature weighing only 40 grams. Now imagine another frame. A Belarusian village, 1972. Brest region. In every yard, a small brood. Grandma Maria, as she was called in the village, always placed a clay bowl with warm water in front of the chicks. But before releasing them into the box, she made one move. She took each chick and gently dipped its beak. 1, 2, and that was enough. After a few minutes, half the brood was already